Hey guys, it's John Moore here with the Texas College Football Show. And today we're going to be previewing the Sam Houston Bearkats, Sam Houston State Bearkats. And joining me from Sam Houston Sports Talks, it's Collin Neill, who follows them. Collin, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. It's still a little too hot for me outside, but August is just a couple days away by the time we're recording this, and I'm just ready for some football to happen because this season of college football in general seems like it's going to be a fun one this year.
Yeah, it really does. And so what we do here, guys, I'm covering all the Texas FBS Division I football teams. There are 13 that play in the state of Texas. I have said all along, and I believe this, that the best football from college to high school on down is played in the state of Texas. Pro, we can NFL, we can go somewhere else. I'm a Cowboy fan, but I don't have high hopes there. And Houston's looking pretty good down there. I don't know if you're in the Houston area. You're in the Houston area, so the Texans are looking good. We'll see how Stroud gets going this year. But Sam Houston State moved up. About 13 years ago? They moved up to Division I. Was it 2012? They moved up, I think.
So it was back in the dang, I'm now blanking on the year. It was in the 80s. They moved up to Division I, but they moved up to it was FCS Division I AA, and then now they're in FBS, which they moved up a couple years ago because they were in the Southland for many years, obviously.
Yep.
And then they moved to the Western Athletic Conference, and the WAC was trying to, in hopes of reviving itself, because they were a big football conference not too long ago. Big example, Boise State, the Fiesta Bowl win in OU. They were in the WAC. I mean, the WAC was considered a really good football conference, but then I guess some signs Sam Houston saw that pointed towards that maybe the WAC wasn't working out, so they accepted a Conference USA invite, especially after Conference USA lost a lot of its members to the Sun Belt and the AAC. That was in October 2022, 2021, excuse me, and they made their FBS debut in 2023, going 3-9, and then this past season being fully eligible, going 10-3 and winning the New Orleans Bowl this past December.
Yeah, and we're going to go over that in just a minute. So tell us about yourself, though, Collin. Tell us exactly who you work with. I know you're with Sam Houston Sports Talk. What else you do and kind of how you got into this. Are you an alumni?
Yes, I graduated May 2024 this past year. Started Sam Houston Sports Talk a month afterwards with my college buddy and friend Luke Scott. We followed Sam Houston athletics closely as students. We were very heavily invested. And I graduated with a mass communication degree with a minor in sports media and emphasis in multi-platform journalism. So I wanted to put it into good use. I wanted to cover Sam Houston more, not just football, the men's, women's basketball, soccer, volleyball, baseball, softball, you name it. If it's Sam Houston, we tend to cover it and we tend to talk about it, especially with a podcast that comes out once a week now at times, once every week in the summer. But once football season comes, athletics year start, it's usually twice a week along with other stuff. But yeah, I just asked Luke, hey, join me? And then he said, absolutely. And we started in June 2024, and we've not looked back. We're now at 238 subs on YouTube. We've just surpassed over 1,000 followers on X or Twitter, whichever one you prefer. And like I said, we never looked back, and we're ready for year two, especially with this season being a highly anticipated season of Sam Houston Bearcat football.
Yeah, and then so Conference USA is where they are this year. We'll go over later some predictions on that. Obviously, this is a new era at Sam Houston. Let's talk about who is new there, and that's new coach Phil Longo. He came over from he was Wisconsin. Was he a University of Wisconsin offensive coordinator? But he was there before.
Yes, he was at Wisconsin for 2 years before coming back home to Huntsville, Texas.
Okay, so let's talk about him. I always talk about Cole. Tell me about. Have you had a chance to meet Coach Longo since he's been here? I know you cover him. Tell me about him. What's his philosophy? What does he do?
Well, Longo is a player's coach by all means. He's a guy that really believes in having relationships, not just for in the season or for the time that they're here at the program, but for afterwards. For those that don't know, Longo he was at Sam Houston from 2014 to 2016. He was the offensive coordinator coming in with Keeler. That was Casey Keeler's first offensive coordinator hire after Willie Fritz left, and we all know Willie Fritz is now at U of H. Willie Fritz went to Georgia Southern, then he went to Tulane, then now he's at Houston. But anyway, he created one of the most high-powered, fun offenses in the FCS at the time, and in Sam Houston football history, you could say. I mean, it was fun, like just over 40 points a game. I mean, when you have Jeremiah Briscoe, where he won two times won the Walter Payton Player of the Year award, and then you had Davion Davis, and you had a plethora of other guys that were there. I mean, Longo's air raid offense, which it's not traditional air raid. It's a dairy raid. He's going to run the football. He's just not going to chuck it up 70 times a game or whatsoever, like the late great Mike Leach did. But if you're just going to give him the opportunity, he's just going to do it anyway. Then he went to Ole Miss. You know, he got guys like AJ Brown, DK Metcalf over there for a couple of years. Then he went to UNC under Mac Brown, was there for 3 years. You know, Drake May, Sam Howell, other guys. Then went to Wisconsin, and then got dismissed in November of last season after a close loss to the number one team in the country at the time, Oregon Ducks. And in December, he was hired on as the Sam Houston head football coach. It was quite an interesting time, especially with how late it was. But I'm pretty excited with this hire. Longo's going to bring a lot of stuff to the table, whether it's, you know, ramping up recruiting efforts. It's going to make it a lot better, especially with where he's been over this past decade or so. His name is well known across coaching circles. He's, like I said before, he's a recruiter. He's a player's coach. He really cares about the guys. And overall, it seems like the alumni here at Sam Houston are pretty excited as well, as he had great relationships with a lot of the alum and the administration back when he was originally with Sam Houston.
Yeah, and for those that are wondering what that number 10 is there, I did a show earlier ranking the coaches in the FBS. I had Phil Longo number 10, not because I thought he was the 10th best coach or he was all the way at the bottom. Don't know. I haven't seen much of him. He's only been a head coach one time at LaSalle University years ago. He didn't have much success there, but that means nothing. But you see his offenses, and it's more of I just know the coaches ahead of him more. We've got a little more on them because there's no way in the world that I look at Phil Longo and think he can't be successful. Sam Houston did what was the deal with the COVID year? They played spring ball or something and won some kind of, what was that? They played spring ball, won a championship, something like that.
Yep. It was not all FCS teams participated. But it is officially a season. I know people like to say, "Oh, like COVID seasons, like kind of like when the Dodgers won the World Series that year." Oh, that doesn't count. That wasn't a real season. Count. But it does count. And if it was your team, you wouldn't be saying that. So
exactly.
They won the Natty in their last year in the Southland and transferred into the WAC. I mean, that honestly, that national championship really brought a lot of alumni, Sam Houston people together. It was cool. It was a high time in the program, especially that was around the time that I applied and got accepted into Sam Houston. It was a fun time, and went back to the FCS playoffs the next year after that. Beat Cam Ward when he was at UIW. That was awesome to see. And but after that season, though, when it was announced that we were going into the FBS, it was a rough 2 years, to say the least.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And let's look at I sent out a little chart. I don't know if you saw that. It was I did a show about hot seats, whether or not coaches sit on hot seat, cold seats, cool seat. This is the chart right here I put out. I think it's safe to say right here, Phil Longo is obviously on a very cold seat. This is his first year. He's signing a new contract with them. I put that up because I've done it for everybody. You're not have to worry about Phil Longo. This guy's going to he's going to be given a chance to come in here and build his program, his recruits. I know that the expectations are good this year, but also you understand the players coming in this year he's going to inherit some, and then really didn't get a great recruiting class. Not that it was bad. You didn't get a full season of recruiting these guys and really working these guys and doing what a coach does. Anytime a new coach comes into a situation like that, they're kind of starting on the back. They're at the back of the line when they first get here to do that. But so I'm looking for good things. I've said this all along. I never shy away from the fact that I am a UT fan. I didn't go to UT. I have a son that goes. He's going to be going to UT in the fall, so that makes me even happy there. But I'm unabashed UT fan. I don't ever lie about that. But I root for all Texas football. Conference USA. I want to see one of the Texas schools win the Conference USA. If it's Sam Houston, fantastic. I thought when they did that spring national championship, I thought that was cool. Quite honestly, and I'm like, all right, see, Texas, we play better football here than anybody else. We're going to go in. Let's look at what they did last year. Of course, Longo was not here last year. They were 10-3 overall. They were 6-2 in Conference USA. I guess some of the more notable games was when they beat Rice. I mean, Rice has been a Power 5 or a D1 FBS school for a while. Their entire basically, for a long time, being former Big 12, they were back in the Southwest Conference, all of that. So you kind of looked at Sam Houston coming in and beating Rice. Of course, now they're a lot better team than Rice, let's be honest, but that was huge. Texas State was a good win. Then they won a bowl game, the New Orleans Bowl at Georgia Southern. That was kind of also very good for this coming into this season. So a lot to go off from last year. Of course, they've got a new coach. Keeler left, so they got a new one in here in Phil Longo. So what are your outlooks coming forward on from last year? You think they can improve on it?
I think it's going to be tough to improve upon what happened last year. I mean, 10-3, New Orleans Bowl win, beating a longtime rival in Texas State. I just don't know how you can top last year this year. Especially, you made note that Longo was hired late into the recruiting trail. He was hired officially when the portal was a week in, and he only had Zach Patterson, I believe it was one or two other assistants at the time in that when he was hired on. So it was a slow start. It's going to be a very interesting year to say the least, though. I don't think they're going to be as bad as 2023. Now, there's potential that it could be. It just depends a lot how fall camp goes or training camp, whatever you want to say. It's going to depend on a lot of that. I've only been out there once on day one. It's I'm not ready to make a lot of assumptions or analysis yet on that. I plan on going there more in the near future before week 0 against Western Kentucky. Obviously, Longo's got a tough task this season, especially starting early week 0 against Western Kentucky. Then they have to face UNLV. Then they have to face they have to go to Hawaii, excuse me, and they have to go to good old DKR in September to face.
I'm going to be at that one. That's the game I'll be at. I'm going in to see the boy. Are you gonna be there?
Yeah, of course. I'm gonna take that opportunity to go there. I've never been to DKR, so it should be a fun experience for me, especially since it's a night game in Austin. Yeah. So it's gonna be fun. But overall, the point is, I don't think that they're going to match last season, but
it's not going to be 2023.
I don't think it's going to be 2023. I think Longo is very fortunate to have returned a lot of guys, especially on the offensive line, which I'm pretty sure we'll get to.
Yeah, we're about to get into offense right now.
Oh yeah, of course. So we can go ahead and talk about it, because I think bringing back some veteran presence and returners, especially on the offensive side, that's going to be a big deal, especially for an offensive-minded coach like Longo.
And at the head of that offense is the quarterback, and we're always going to talk about the quarterback. And Hunter Watson's coming back. He started 12 games last year for the Bearkats. He threw for 1,817 yards, 12 TDs, 8 interceptions. And a lot of people don't know this. I mean, this is a guy that won a national title in 2023 himself at Iowa Western Community College, where he led them to a national title. He had 1,904 yards, 22 TDs, 4 interceptions. He's coming back, and I don't care who you are, what team you are. You see, I had him at number 9 there. That's because this is a returning starter. There was a lot of good quarterbacks in Texas FBS, but when you're returning a starter that puts up numbers like that, it's one of the positions that's basically set coming into camp and ready to go. And this is a guy that has seen the speed of the game and seen the at this level, and it's good. Tell me about Hunter and what you expect from him.
So I'm going to disclaim something real quick, if you don't mind. Okay. Longo at Conference USA Media Day did say that there is a battle between Hunter Watson and Mabry Matoyer, who was a Woodland star.
Great.
Longo brought him over from Wisconsin. But I've been on the record. This is Hunter Watson's job to lose. And
sure.
and going into what a kind of guy that Hunter Watson is. I mean, I'm also on the record of not being high on him. I thought Jace Bauer, the Central Michigan transfer last year, was going to win the job over Hunter Watson, especially since you bring a guy from JUCO. You wonder how he's going to transition himself into a higher level of play. I mean, JUCO to FBS is quite a big jump, if
Right.
I may say so myself, as a guy that never played football except for junior
Yep.
high. But anyway, I was very surprised, and I was very happy to see how Hunter Watson carried himself last year, won that starting spot at QB1, dual threat guy, one of the best runners of the football as a quarterback, maybe not just in group of five, but also maybe in FBS. I mean, the guy's just a bruiser. He just runs. He doesn't care about the contact that he takes. He just runs through people. He's gonna try, and if he has an opportunity to get in the end zone, he's gonna take it and he's gonna run with it. Just a tough, fierce competitor. I will say though, a question that has been raised has been his arm, especially in an air raid offense.
Yeah.
Longo likes to throw the football, obviously, in his air raid. But what I saw out of Watson day one of training camp is that he refined his mechanics, especially I predicted this that Longo would do something with Watson's mechanics because Longo is going to be the QB's coach as well, along with his assistant QB's coach Knox Kadum, who was here last year. So
Yeah.
he has familiarity with Watson at quarterback. I think he's going to be just fine. I think he is going to adjust. I've talked to a coach that watches Wisconsin football quite a lot. He thinks that Watson is going to adjust to this system. Matoyer is going to be the future, but for now, if I were to put my money on it, and I would say Watson is going to be is QB1 and should be,
Well, and I
especially
had to
since
go off of every publication that is previewing them basically has him coming back. And so that was easy for me to say. I didn't know about who is it that's coming over from Wisconsin. This is a
Mabry Matoyer. He was at the Woodlands. He redshirt freshman. He was a 4-star coming out of high school. He had a really great career with the Highlanders, I will say.
Oh, I'm telling you right there, that's a talented kid right there. And hey, kudos
He
for
is.
Longo for getting him here. I tell you what, and I think you can agree with me, Colin. This is a kid that's going to see the field this year.
Mabry.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think we might see him because in a way that Watson Watson was hurt quite a lot last year. He was not 100% in the second half of the season. This is a guy that likes to run, but that doesn't mean that he's not immortal. He could, if he
Sure.
takes the wrong hit again, like he did last year, because Jace Bauer had to step in for a game and a half or so last year because Watson was hurt. So I think Mabry Matoyer will be ready to go if he needs to step in, especially since he's learned the Longo system for quite some time. That I think he'll be
Yeah.
comfortable with it. Of course, though, it's one thing looking at the playbook, going through the progressions, the reads, the drills, and all that. But once you step on the gridiron, it's game time. It's under the lights. It's a completely different thing, and that's where Matoyer is going to get tested if he does see the field this year. But I think as long as Watson stays healthy, he's going to be the guy out there.
Okay, well then let's go. Let's go past that though. You started to talk about it a while ago, Colin. Let's go into it. On the offensive side of the ball, returning starters and impact players. Tell me the guys to watch for. What are the names? Whether they're skill position. You talked about the line. The line is a line that's got some stones here. They've been here, so they've got some the returning starters here. That's good.
Oh yeah. So I'm gonna name first guy I'm gonna name is James Don, the second, number 71 senior. He could be the starting center this year. DCTF projected in their magazine that he was going to be the starting center this year, and I think that's going to be a good thing because he's a guy that's really familiar with Watson. Those two guys are. I mean, if there's one thing about Watson, the locker room really seems to really like him. But Don is a veteran. I think you should trust a veteran as your center, especially for Longo in his first season. That key theme I'm going to be repeating is veteran presence. That I think Longo is going to really benefit from this year. You got Colt Diederich, starting left tackle, number 79, redshirt sophomore. Then number 70, Rhett Larson. He's going to be your right guard or any guard position. Luke Eckert. He transferred in from Iowa Western with Hunter Watson last year. He didn't really he played a whole lot of left tackle, but it seems like they're going to transition him to left guard. And then you go out into the skill positions. Michael Phoenix, he 15 catches, 219 yards, 3 touchdowns, but he's going to be a guy that lives in the system. Like he's a guy that I think he's going to be really good, along with Quavez Humphreys, number 7, Kilgore College transfer from a few years ago, 20 catches, 385 yards, 4 touchdowns last year. I've heard Thomas Jewett's name quite a lot over these past few years as the tight end. He's going to be somebody to watch. And then those are the returning starters that I have on my list that are going to be ones to watch. But if you want me to get into transfers,
yes,
I mean,
we're going to get after we do defense. I want to go into impactful transfers, but you know what? We can just combine it. Tell me that now. Who came in that transferred in that we can see that's going to be impactful? Absolutely.
So I'll start off with Arizona State transfer wide receiver. Most likely going to be a slot guy. I could see him go on the outside as well at sometimes, depending on what they kind of want to do. Caleb Black went to Klein Oak. I'm pretty excited to see. I saw him a little bit at training camp. He's going to be very interesting to watch. You got good old Elijah Green, a transfer from Indiana. He was at UNC with Longo for a year. So there's some familiarity there. He's most likely going to be your RB1, but right behind him, it's going to be Shane Porter, running back transfer from UNT, a walked on at Kansas State as a wide receiver, but then transitioned to a running back, gained like 30 pounds to become a running back. This is going to be a guy I'm really excited to see. And a couple of other, and those are going to be the transfers I'm looking. I mean, you have Alton McCaskill as well. If you remember Alton McCaskill, how big he was, especially at Houston in his freshman year. I'm really curious to see where he fits in this. When it comes to the running back room in general, though, if I may add, it's going to be a kind of, I could see it being where a lot of where 2 to 3 guys get carries,
rotation.
like carries that matter.
Right.
First 2 guys, Green and Porter, though, especially since the running back room got decimated. We only have 2 returning running backs coming back this year from last year, but those 2 guys did not get carries, as far as I'm concerned. So really good job by Longo and his staff to rebuild that running back room. It's going to
when you're an offensive guy, you go get what you think you're going to need, and that's his thing. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
How about the defense? So let's go to the defense real quick. We'll transition over. Okay, so tell me about the defensive coordinator. We got a new coaching staff. Who took over? Who's going to be calling the defense?
Freddie Autry-Lindsey. He was at NC State. He was as the Nichols and DB's coach. He was the interim defensive coordinator for the bowl game for the Wolfpack against Eastern Carolina, which they lost. But I'm not really going to ride on that. That's unfair on Freddie Autry-Lindsey. I'm not going to go into that. It's an unfair judgment. I think they actually had guys that sat out. So it's people that are going to go look at that game and be like, oh, I don't know why y'all got him. Well, he and Longo are familiar with one another, of course, a slippery rock. So he's going to be calling the defensive plays. I like the hire, especially with his experience. But here's the thing, really rough task. You know why, John? It's because if you go back to the New Orleans Bowl 2 deep chart, 3 guys on that 2 deep return on the defensive side. And that's Iman Allen.
Transferred out or graduated?
Yeah. So graduated some, but because Keeler left, Skylar Cassidy, who's our DC, also left. He went to UNT and took basically almost everybody with him, especially our starting corners, our starting safeties. Isaiah Cash went to Virginia Tech, and Caleb Weaver, our starting strong, went to Duke. And then our best edge rusher, Chris Murray, transferred to Auburn. One of our starting defensive tackles, which I was really high on, that I thought was going to stay at Matthew Rubisala, went to Rice. And then Denver Warren, who was another one of our DTs that saw time, he went on to UAB. Overall, we lost a lot on the defensive side.
In a coaching change. Damn it.
It's insane.
That's funny you said that. We've already done the UNT preview show. I In fact, it's the one that came out today. I
Yeah.
recorded it already, and it just came out today. But he talked about the defensive coordinator coming over from Sam, and they've got a few good transfers that came in from Sam. So what
Yes.
you're talking about, you're triggering me, and I'm like, that's right. That's what that's what Hank was telling me about. That they did. They got a new defensive coordinator, and they've got some guys coming in from there. Now, who transferred in? Are there any impactful guys that are coming in, or guys to look for?
Of course. I think they did. I think, again, hired late into the transfer portal, but I mean, you obviously have the spring window, but the winter window is the really important one in my opinion. But I think they did a tremendous job. They brought in, firstly on the edge, they brought in a guy by the name of Keelan Cox, Texas Southern transfer, walked on
Yeah.
Alabama. He's exciting. I really like that pickup. He's gonna be wearing the big old 99. He's gonna be a
Yeah.
guy to watch. Wisconsin DB transfer. I don't know if he's gonna start, but Jace Arnold, he's gonna be a guy I'm gonna be pretty interested in watching. He made a couple nice plays on day one of training camp. He may not start, but the key this year is going to be depth, and it's not as deep as last year. But DB room should be fine, especially with a guy like him. Uh, he was in last year, but he didn't. I would say Joe Swen. He's one of the returners from last year. I like him. He's going to be a guy to watch transfer from Oregon State last year. But then going back into the transfers that came in, CJ Brown from Bowling Green. He's going to be. I think he's either going to be the strong or the free or the full. Excuse me. Trey Harris, another DB from Cornell. Cecil Powell, an experienced DB. He was at NC State, but transferred to Troy last year. Now he's at Sam Houston, so he's linked back up with Freddie Autry Lindsey. And it's Zaquai Lawton. He was at West Virginia for a long time. I forgot where he was before. Dang it, I probably should have made a note of that. But he actually medically retired from football after last season. But I don't know exactly who convinced him to come here just to Sam Houston, but he's going to be a big guy as long as he stays healthy because health has been a big problem. But he's been a guy
Sure.
that everyone's been excited about. And then finally, Akron transfer Antavius Fish. He'll probably be he'll most likely be the Mike or the Will or the Sam, whichever, where he seems like a guy that can play anywhere on the defense. And then some other guys to name real quickly: Chris Eaton, Bryant transfer, Shafon Boyd, and plenty of other guys. But I could go on and on. And mainly the thing about this defense is that we don't know who's going to be the first 11 out there. And the thing
Sure.
is, it's not just going to be it's probably not going to be a fact of the first 11. It's a fact about rotating so much because they're going to be on that field a lot, especially if Longo's offense is scoring a lot and quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And it's a whole new group, and that's the one bad thing about a coach leaving or hiring a new coach is a new coordinator coming in. Like you said, you lose guys. It's that first year. It's really about getting your players in here, the transfer. And luckily for him, he did find some guys that he knew before coming into for the defense. That helps him already. He already knows what he's got there. But it's going to be a game all year. It's just going to be who steps up in practice, who takes advantage when they get the playing time. Some people are going to lose their job when they're getting, you find out, well, maybe that's not what we need. Someone will step in. It'll be fun. I'm pulling for Sam. I'm always going to pull for Texas schools. Let's go. So we talk about defense. So defense is going to be the question. We know Longo should be able to score. He's a high powered. He's an offense guy. He plays kind of like you said, it's called what did you call it? Not the air raid, but the dairy raid.
Yeah, it's mainly because it's not a pure air raid like Mike Leach was. He's going to run the football. They actually ran for more yards than pass yards that when he was at Sam Houston a decade ago. So offense is not going to be the problem. It's just mainly going to fall on the defense. Freddie Autry Lindsey, I think he's got a tough job. But I mean, if the depth is there, which I'm hoping it is, I still don't quite know yet. But operating out of I've heard if it's a base 4-2-5 or even a 3-3-5, but I've heard mainly it's a 4-2-5. So you got Nick. So you're going to play nickel. You're going to have a lot of DBs out there, and I think that's going to be a huge deal having that depth at DB because they're going to really have to be athletes in work and go against an offense that is going to stretch the field on them because of the depth issues, especially up front. The defensive line is going to be the biggest question coming into
Sure.
the season.
And you need a good defensive line because that helps your secondary. If you're putting pressure on a quarterback, that's when quarterbacks make mistakes.
Yep.
And it really helps, even if you have a secondary that's questionable, if the quarterback's under pressure, that can cause and lead to some good things. But if you don't know yet what you've got on the defensive line, hopefully Cox can get in there and be a menace and do something like that. So the big question this year is, let's see what the defense, and we're going to be pulling for this defense to come together and really put something together for the Bearcats this year. Let's talk recruiting. I know he got a late start to recruiting. Who are some of the key recruits that came in? Are there anybody that's going to probably get on the field, or they have a chance to? I know it's a late start for him, so I don't know what he pulled in, but let's talk about that.
So I'm gonna start with a guy that's that's most likely not going to play this year, mainly because he's rehabbing an injury that he suffered late in his senior year of high school. But Rockwall native in Landon Locke, he's a guy that I'm very intrigued upon. I think he's going to compete for that starting job next year against Mabry Matoyer. But he was wearing a brace when I saw him at training camp, like a long brace. So I don't know if he's completely healed. I'm not going to assume anything, but I do know that he tore his ACL, based on what I've learned online. So he's most likely, I'd say I'm 90 to 95% sure he's going to redshirt, just so that he can more focus on rehabbing his ACL, but also taking the time to learn more of Longo's system, especially if he's going to be competing for the starting job. Braylon Wortham is another guy I'm looking at from College Station High School. He originally was committed to Sam Houston. Then Skylar Cassidy left to UNT. He then decommitted. He was offered, I believe, by UNT, but he didn't go. He then came back. He signed in February. Another guy I'm looking at on the offensive side this time, wide receiver from Galveston Ball, London Dion, a 3-star, really a guy that's gonna, if he stays, John, he's gonna really live in Longo's air raid. 6'4", 200 pounds. I saw Dion in person for the first time. He's a big dude, and I think he could probably see some starting time this year, maybe, especially on the outside. And then Logan Cahill, Prosper O-lineman. He's a guy I'm pretty excited about in the future. He probably won't start this year, but if he does stay, of course, everything is unpredictable with the transfer portal. I think he could be a starter next year, if not just split time there. Grayson Spawn is another guy I'm excited for. Blue Ridge High School, 6'6", really tall offensive lineman. And then Curtis Duran, I think he's gonna be our punter most likely this year. Sam Houston has a great history with Australian punters, especially last year with Jaden Cardell hitting the portal and leaving. And then if I could name another freshman real quick, kicker Tate Ryan from the Woodlands. He'll be competing for the starting kicker spot this year. He's going to be competing against Christian Vavon, our returning kicker, Nico Ottomanelli, and RJ Lopez, both transfers. So it's some sneaky freshmen if you look deep enough into the cards. Some other guys I could mention, but of course we'd be here for a long time if I kept going. So.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, listen, everybody's got to take a step back and breathe a little bit, because when Longo comes in December, you can't. This recruiting class and this transfer portal class is kind of like you said, a late start to it. I'm interested to see what he does there. Let's look at the schedule, and before I give my prediction, we'll just kind of look at trap games, best case scenarios, worst case scenarios. So I blacked out my prediction there so we can look at it. So what do you see in for the season? I mean, they're going to start off with Western Kentucky. They're going to be at Western Kentucky. Like you said, they go to Hawaii. You get to go on that trip?
No, not to Hawaii. I wish, but I got to save the money.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so tell me this. What is a best case scenario you see for Sam Houston this year?
Like, this might sound a little too optimistic, but I'm maybe not, but I'll say 8-4 is best case scenario. It's just, the thing is, Conference USA is an interesting conference. I mean, last year it was pretty weak, especially when you had two teams as in UTEP and FIU losing to FCS schools. We just, I mean, as a person that wants to represent, as a person of a school that wants to represent Conference USA, well, we cannot be losing to FCS teams by all means. Conference USA, though, is pretty unpredictable this year. There's some great talent, especially at WKU when they brought in Maverick McIver, a heck of an 80s name, by the way, at Western Kentucky to begin in week 0. So I'll say best case is 8-4, and I'm gonna stand on that. I was gonna say 7-5, but I'm gonna go a little bit. I'm gonna go one more up and say 8-4 is the best case scenario.
How about worst case?
Worst case scenario, it'll be 2023 3-9.
3-9 on the worst case. Well, let me tell you where I came in on this, and I had to do some study, and I went where other people were predicting, looking at, and actually there was some great info on what's the toss-up games, what games they'll likely win, likely lose. I kind of put that all together, and here's where I ended up. You're going to be a little optimistic with me. I said 7-5.
Oh,
so
okay.
I think getting out of the gate's going to be tough. That's where but I think this second half sets up well for them to really get going. I mean, let's be honest. They're going to lose at Texas no matter what happens. It would be look, you never say never. Anybody could, I guess, technically beat anybody, but Texas just 3 or 4 deep is probably more talented right now. That's why they're ranked so high. But like you said, Western Kentucky was a loss. I got UNLV as a loss, and at Hawaii as a loss. Then we start with the New Mexico State, Jackson State, UTEP. Tell me where you agree or disagree. Is there, like you said, 8-4? Where would that other win come? Or do you have it different?
The other win, I think, could come against Western Kentucky, because here's the thing.
Okay.
Western Kentucky is at a disadvantage mainly because of, new coaching staff. They don't really know what exactly Sam Houston is going to do. They're relying upon like familiar faces, of course. They see what guys can do, but the thing is, if these guys on the offense adjust to the Longo system really well, which I'm banking on the fact that they can, Western Kentucky is kind of going in blind a little bit. And what's really working for them, though, like I said, Helton up there seems to have a really good quarterback in Maverick McIver. It's at Bowling Green. I mean, Sam Houston almost beat Western Kentucky 2 years ago in their first FBS season at Bowling Green. They were at the 5. They were within goal line distance, and they just couldn't convert. So it's going to be a tough game. But I think they can. I have a feeling they can come out with the win early. UNLV is going to be more of a toss-up, I think, than more than people think. I will say, though, if they will lose to Western Kentucky, I feel like they can beat Hawaii because there's some question mark.
So one of those two, split them. You split them.
Yeah.
Let's say we split those, which would be good. They're obviously going to lose at Texas, and then Oregon State. Now, look, Oregon State is not on top of the world, but it is. What are they? Did they move off from Pac-12, or where are they at now?
Yeah, so they're still Pac-12. So it's a very weird situation. Let's just say that.
Yeah, Texas State's going to the Pac-12, I guess, next year. There's something like that. And that's your rival. Do y'all play Texas State at all? You don't play them this year.
No, I personally, as an alum, I think a lot of alumni will side with me on this. I really, really wish that Sam Houston would play them more. Maybe once every year, maybe once every other year, and switch venues at Bowers or at Bowers or at I can't remember Texas State Stadium name, so apologies to Bobcat fans out there. I will say, though, one other thing that is very important this year, and as the reason why I'm less optimistic than I should be. Yeah, I remember Sam Houston's playing their home games at Shell Energy Stadium in Houston, Texas, because Bauer Stadium is getting a new press box. So Sam Houston's playing 12 away games. So
they're not. So they're redoing the stadium. They're doing the press box at the stadium. Okay.
Yes, it's going to be a new press box. Hopefully, it's going to be pretty cool. But this year, for 2025, Sam Houston football is not going to play at Bauer Stadium. That's why I say worst case is 3-9. That's just tough. It's not the fact that it's physically tough; it's the fact it's mentally tough.
How far away is where are they playing their home games at this year?
Shell Energy Stadium, the home of the Houston Dynamo of the MLS. It's in Houston, Texas, about It's a little over an hour south of Huntsville. Just go down I-45 and then you'll hit straight on with it. It's gonna be an hour and a
Golly.
half. It's gonna be an hour and a half though, to be honest with you, because Houston traffic is it's
Yeah.
crazy. It's crazy. But I mean, that's why my prediction is 6-6.
Okay.
I
All right.
I say 6-6. That's the middle ground between my optimistic side and my pessimistic side. So I'm gonna say 6-6.
All right. Well, I have more faith, but I tell you what, you're the insider because I learned a lot. There's some of these players I'm going to watch now this season. Colin, I appreciate you coming on and doing this, and I don't want to just end it here. Look, my show every Monday is just going to be a countdown from 13 to 1. It's going to switch around and move around, and I've got my list kind of set where I think I'm going to be at, but not quite.
Yeah.
But it can change every week. There's going to be wins and losses. Teams are going to move up and down. But I do want to get in some of these weeks. We'll look at the schedule. There'll be a big game that's coming up with Sam Houston, especially if they do well and maybe they got a tough game coming up. We'll try to jump on midweek, do a quick preview of that, do a 15, 20 minutes and just kind of highlight what's going to happen and do something like that. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So I want to keep this contact going. And I can't thank you enough, Colin, for coming on. You really, this is why I wanted somebody to come do it with me. I want somebody that knows the team, that can tell me what to look for, tell these fans who listen. Best football in Texas or in the United States is in Texas at the college level too. Sam Houston won a national championship in 2020. Yes, it was the COVID year. Yes, it was that, but I don't care. They won. And you know what? You can only play the schedule you got. So I like this. I want these teams to do well. I'm going to pull for every Texas team to do well. When one of them leaves the pack, they're going to be the one I jump on board. So if Conference USA, Sam Houston's the Texas team that kind of roams its way to the top, then I'm a Sam Houston Bearcat fan all the way. And I'm going to be calling you to come down there and visit and do that.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this. I know a lot, but I don't know a lot. I always like going with the mindset that there's still a lot to learn about Sam Houston football in general. I mean, again, this year is going to be an interesting year, a weird year as well. I will say advice. It's don't I if you want to be satisfied with this year, just enjoy, like just watch what happens, as this is going to be this is going to be about growth as the year
Sure.
goes on. I'm not saying Longo is going to go on and win 10 games just like last year. And if they don't do well this year, they finish below 500 or worst case scenario 3-9. I don't take a lot of stock into that because again, this is Longo's first year. This is gonna, and look, Shell Energy Stadium again. Like I said, it's gonna be a weird year, but it could be a fun year, and I'm looking forward to this year. Not just as an alum, but as someone that has really studied and learned a lot about these new guys, learned about this new team in general, the coaching staff. It's gonna be interesting this year, and I'm looking forward to it. And I thank you for bringing me on because Sam Houston doesn't get as much coverage, or not coverage, notice, especially being an FBS school. I mean, it's still a new FBS school, still got a lot of growing to do. But if things go well, if they win, if the winning continues, especially since Sam Houston has a good winning tradition dating back to its FCS days, Sam Houston has a place to grow and has a place in the FBS level.
I think so too. And this could be a team that can work its way up and maybe jump into eventually someday work its way into a Big 12 or get into one of the, but it's a ways off.
Not there yet. We gotta focus on now. We gotta focus on the 2025 season, and then focus on 2026.
Let's go bowling.
And happens. Yeah,
you did 6-6. Let's go bowling.
Hey, I went to NOLA. I went to NOLA in December. It was fun. It was awesome. Seeing the team get their first FBS bowl win. I would love to go to another one in December. That's for sure.
All right. Hey, listen, guys, that's Collin Neill for coming on here. We're going to end this one today. Thank you, Collin, a bunch for coming on here. For Collin Neill, I'm John Moore. Until the next one comes out or the next show, guys, we'll see you on the gridiron. Thanks, Collin.